Okay, 10 a.m. sharp for me, Jonathan, 5 p.m. for you. You ready to get started?
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing. Thanks everyone who's joined already. I'm sure people will continue to trickle in, but we'll get started here. So thank you for attending this webinar from DESelect. I know many of the people that are joining are segment customers, and we're here to unveil a very exciting feature for our other product, Engage. It is all about reporting. So today, I'm introducing Jonathan Van Driesen. He is our CTO and co-founder of the company and super involved in the product. So any questions you have at any point in the webinar, you can drop them in the Q&A section and we'll answer them at the end. So just to introduce DESelect and the product a bit, like I said, I know many of you are familiar with Segment. All of our products exist directly in the Salesforce Marketing Cloud ecosystem. They integrate seamlessly. And once you have segmented your audience in Segment, you can take that data extension and leverage it in Engage to find the exact right time to communicate with your audience. And so altogether, we are a turnkey marketing optimization platform for Salesforce. And today you'll get a little bit more information about Engage. We want you to kind of focus on this question within your organization as you're viewing all these things about Engage. Are you sending context too many marketing campaigns, or maybe not enough? And if you cannot answer that question, hopefully after what you see today, you'll have a better idea of how you can do that with DESelect Engage. So just a super brief introduction of Engage. It is intelligent frequency capping for Salesforce Marketing Cloud. We want you to be sending the exact right amount of communications, not overwhelming, oversaturating your customers, but also not giving them too little. You want to give them the best opportunity to convert. And so within Engage, you are able to set custom rules that apply to custom campaign types and custom contact categories across any channels that you have within Engage. Typically email, push, and SMS, but we also support custom channels. Then you'll see in a minute when Jonathan opens up his calendar, you will have sends in there, and the colors correlate to how saturated your audience is for that specific send. We also integrate directly with Journey Builder, and so you have the option of manually adding this little component into your journey, or our previous demo webinar for Engage was an import journey feature where our product takes care of it completely, and you just have to import the existing journey to apply the saturation control. So Jonathan now is going to take over the screen share. Right before he does that, we do have a poll for you all. Jonathan, if you wouldn't mind launching the poll, you'll see it on your screen in just a second. How does your organization determine how often to send communications? It's totally okay if your answer is we don't currently know, we don't frequency cap. Maybe you use spreadsheets or other manual methods. There is a simpler version of what we do in Einstein send optimization, which is a bit of a black box. And Engage, luckily, is not a black box whatsoever. Everything is customizable. Maybe you already use Engage, or if you use something else, again, try to drop it in the chat or leave us a Q&A. So we'll give just a minute to answer this question, and then Jonathan, go ahead and take over.
Yes, will do. I see in the meantime about 50% of attendees here have participated in the poll, so I'm going to give it 20 more seconds so everyone can respond to the question. So you should normally see a poll popping up in Zoom where you can just click any of the answers. All right, it's very tight at this point, so it's 50-50 between two answers. Kira, which answer do you think people would vote on the most?
I would guess spreadsheets and manual methods would be the most popular. That's what I've seen. from people who are interested in Engage and they're pretty tired of doing it manually.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. We have over 80% of attendees replying. So if I click end poll, it will show the results, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yes. Cool. Yes. So we see that 33% of people said spreadsheets or other manual methods, as you correctly estimated, Kira. We also have the same percentage of people that are using the Einstein send time optimization. We also have DESelect Engage customers here that use our products. And there's also attendees here that don't do frequency capping yet. Okay, great. That's good for us to know. Indeed, the spreadsheets or manual ways of doing this, we see this a lot. It's typically a first step in the maturity. It's a bit tricky because one, spreadsheets can be hard to work with, especially if you have a lot of data. But also, it kind of assumes that everybody has the same, like all audiences for different campaigns are the same, which is typically not the case, and also makes it hard to do any prioritization of different campaigns. But definitely a first good step, better than doing nothing, for sure. So, all right, cool, great. Thanks to everyone who replied, which is almost everyone who participated here. So that's great. Now let's dive into the demo of our reporting capabilities that we just launched. Let me just select the right tab here. Okay. All right, so we are currently in DESelect Engage. As you see, so the first window here, it is our calendar view where you can see your calendar, so the different campaigns that are being planned. And you also see how we pre-calculate, like before you actually run the campaign, what percentage of saturation we expect. So if a campaign is in the green, it means that less than 20% of the people are saturated or would be like excluded from the send. Yellow is between 20 and 50, and red means more like the majority of the people would not be receiving the send because it would be saturated. Saturated based on what, you may ask? Based on the rules that you define. There's a lot of flexibility here to define what rules you want to apply to certain campaign types, to certain contact categories, and so on. And what I really want to show you today is the dashboard that we have extended. So we already had a sense view. This is where you can see, given a certain date range, what are the different scents that I have planned and what are the actual results of those scents. So what you can see here on this one, for example, the sneakers promo. So that was an offer that we sent. We sent it out the 5th of, the 4th of May. In total, we wanted to reach 251 contacts. But because of the saturation rules, we like the platform decided not to send it to 95 people. So 156 people did receive it. So we already provided this way of reporting, of looking at the data. So you can look into one campaign specifically, and you can see, okay, this campaign specifically has 62% of people receiving the send. You can also look into the same data basically from a contact point of view. So you can say, for this contact, how often are they being included or excluded? And all of this will give you an insight or an idea on like how well your rules are doing, if they need any fine tuning. But we did get requests from current customers on how they could report like more globally. How can we look at all the sends that we have done in the last 6 months and see what percentage of people were being excluded. So that's why we built the reporting capability. So I'm just going to start here on the left. So this is where we can set the date range. So what date do we want to look at? So let's say that I'm just interested in the data from the last 2 weeks. As you can see, immediately we are seeing this graph here. I'll come to the pie chart in a second. But in the table here, we can see, okay, in total, we sent messages to 1,520 people, of which 793 were included and 727 were excluded. Again, this is excluded based on campaigns that were planned the campaigns that were actually sent, and the rules. So if you have a rule, for example, that says we will not send more than one email per day to a contact, and you plan 2 campaigns to be sent on the same day, then for one of the 2, that contact will be excluded. For the first one, the contact would be included. Or not necessarily the first one, the one with the highest priority, because you can assign different priorities to different campaign types, which allows the platform to define, which ones should we send and which ones should we not send, given the rules. How do we optimize everything best? But so coming back to this, if we don't select any filters, if we don't select any grouping, we'll see a total, which is visualized also in this nice graph. So in the graph here, we do see that same 52% of people that we're seeing here, which is the people that were included. For the other 47%, we do see different slices of red, where each slice represents the main rule that caused the exclusion. So if I have a rule here, for example, 3 cents per day, like 10% of the people here did not receive a certain communication because we were hitting that rule, because we were trying to send more than 3 emails per day to these people. So as you can see, by default, I applied no filters, I applied no grouping, and I'll report on the total. But what we can also do is dive into specific channels, campaign types, or contact categories. So let's say I'm interested only in email, then I can apply that filter here, and you see that in that case, my data looks a bit different. You can also select multiple channels as like together as one. So that's very useful. And then we can do the same for campaign types. So if I want to see like how well is my my campaign type offer doing when it comes to these rules, again you can do a deep dive. Please note that you can create different rules for different campaign types. So you can say, for example, we can send 3 offers in a week, but we're never going to send more than 1 newsletter in a month. And then the last type of filter that we make available here is the contact categories. So all your contacts can be put into different categories. Contacts can also have multiple contact categories as at once, depending really on your use case, on what makes sense. But a typical example would be we have customers, we have leads, we have prospects, and you may want to treat those people differently. Maybe you say, okay, to a lead, I'm not going to send more than 2 emails in a week, but to an active customer, we can send more. We have a tighter relationship there. They do expect more, maybe. So you can have different rules. So again, you can filter down, like diving into just one specific lead, for example, or you can do a combination of these different filters. Like I want to see when it comes to leads and only the email channel, what does my data look like? Okay, so that's for the filters. And then the last thing that I want to show here is the grouping. So as I said before, if I'm not doing any grouping, I will just see this total row, but I can also show the data grouped by a channel. So in that case, each line here is going to represent one channel. So I have SMS, postal channel, email, push. I'll also call it out. We do have a deleted line here. That's because we had one channel which we later deleted, but we do still have those historical records, right? We do still know that a send happened on that channel. So that's how we decided to deal with it. But as you can see, super useful to slice and dice the data in the way that you find useful. So you can do that by both channel, campaign type, by different types of campaigns, and contact category. Right, so again, just to summarize, we do have the pie chart here. The different slices represent the different rows, or sorry, the different rules that caused the exclusion. So different rules that were hit, like the 3 cents per day. So that would be an indication. If you say, okay, I'm happy that 10% of my contacts are not receiving a communication because we have this rule of 3 cents per day, perfect. If you see that, oh, maybe 50% of my people are not receiving it because I have a certain rule, that's maybe a basis for you to look at that rule again and reconsider. Again, you can filter on channels, campaign types, and contact categories. we do always show a total as well, but you can also group by any of these dimensions to slice and dice the data in the way that you find useful. So again, why would you want to do all of this? It's to look at how your saturation control program is performing. If any of the rules that you have need to be tweaked, if any of the prioritizations that you have need to be tweaked, you can slice and dice the data the way you want to. You can look at the different date ranges that you find useful. And so again, this is really to help you fine tune your strategy when it comes to frequency capping, but also prioritization of different campaign types. All right,
Awesome.
Kira, are there any questions?
No questions in the chat yet. I did just want to expand here that this feature is basically expanding the current reporting features that we had, where you can drill down into individual sends and contacts. This new view kind of gives you that more general information that, like Jonathan mentioned, can influence your strategy a bit better. And give you that broader view that I think you need when you are determining all of your campaign prioritizations. So
Exactly.
if you don't have any, yeah, go ahead.
Well, actually, now that we're on the topic, I may as well just quickly show, like, I did already show how you can look like on a campaign level. We call it sense here. Like globally, you can just see like the main numbers here, but you can also go deeper. Like if I go to my sneakers promo, I can see some details of that send. So I have a name, I can have a description, campaign type, the channel. As I said, we can have different priorities. We can also assign tags to it. So a tag could be whatever dimension, whatever information you find useful. So it could be like B2B, B2C, or like a name of a campaign or a strategy or whatever is useful for you. Here also we see that result, but here users can also go deeper into the details. So also here we can see all the different rows, like all the different contacts that were included in this campaign. We can see if they were excluded or included. Again, with those reasons for the exclusion, you can also see at what time the send happened or the decision was made. So this is normally when the contact goes to Journey Builder, when it hits the engage component, little penguin, where we make the decision, yes, this contact should receive this send, or no, they should not at this point. So that's why you can have all that information here. You can also here search for a specific contact. So this really allows you to, to find the outcome for this campaign for one specific contact. And if you want to go even deeper, you can then click through to that contact and see, okay, for this specific contact, which can have a certain contact category, which can, here you can also see when was the last time that contact went through a journey. You will also see that same kind of representation where which rules caused the contact to be excluded from certain sends. And then here you see all the historical sends that happened for this contact. And if available, also any planned sends. So this is really the 360 view. I know it's like a really overused word, that really this provides you all the insights with all the sends that happened for contact, all the planned sends that happened, with for each of those sends, whether the contact was included or excluded or would be included or excluded in the future. All right.
Absolutely. All right. Well, if we're done in the product with the live demo, we'll hop back over to these slides. Give me one moment. And we have time for Q&A now. If you have any questions, like I've said, please drop them in the Q&A little chat window at the bottom. While everybody is maybe prepping their questions, we do have a free checklist for you. We have a full checklist put together in our resources section of the website. That is the left QR code on whether or not a frequency capping solution could really benefit your organization. There are a series of questions you can ask yourself and your team maybe to determine if this would be a good fit for you. If you're viewing all this stuff and you already feel like it's a great fit, you want to learn more, the DESelect Engage landing page is that QR code on your right. So feel free to scan either of those. You can always reach out through the website, or you can contact us directly, Jonathan or myself, and we'll get you any information you need. So don't be shy. Ask your questions. I have a question for you, Jonathan. How long would you say an Engage setup takes if you have to configure all of those custom settings?
So the setup in Engage is typically quickly done. Like you can do it in half an hour or so. What we see with our customers is that it's more the decisions that they have to make as an organization beforehand that take a bit longer. Because typically you do want to align with different departments. It's often also not very clear like who should actually decide how many messages you want to send to people. But especially when it comes to the prioritization. Let's say we have a slightly larger company with 10 marketers in the department. Each marketer is responsible for a different product or a different type of campaign. Then they have to agree upon a certain priority between those different sends. And that's not always easy. Without a frequency capping solution or a prioritization solution, that in reality that translates to a weekly meeting where it's more like politics and who can shout the loudest that determines who can do their sends first, which then typically means that they reach like the biggest audience. But once you have had that conversation internally, it's really objective. The system handles it for you. There's no more like politics to it, and you can get the optimal outcome for everyone involved, both in the marketers and the respondents in the end, the contacts that you reach out to.
Amazing. I think we have one other question in the queue, but my Zoom UI has disappeared because I'm sharing my
Oh
screen.
no.
Are you able to read the question?
Oh yeah, I can see. And how complicated is the process? So I assume the question is how complicated the process is for setting up Engage. So there I would say, yeah, it's quite straightforward. So we do the installation, that takes about 15 minutes. And then you have access to the view that I shared before. So you see the calendar. Yes, there are a few things that you can set up. So what do we need to know? What are the different campaign types that you work with? So as I showed, campaign types could be offers, newsletters, refer a friend, and so on. Another thing we want to know is, do you have different categories of contacts, what we call contact categories? So there, the only thing we request is that you create one data extension that contains all your contacts, where you assign each of them to one or multiple contact categories. So we know who are the leads, who are the prospects, if you want to apply different rules for those different people. And then with those, and then also lastly, just indicating which channels you want to use. And then with those things set up, you can start defining those rules. And those rules can be very easy, like no more than 3 emails per week, or no more than 1 SMS per month, or as a last example, no more than 3 emails per week for a certain campaign type, but we can allow 5 per month for another campaign type or for certain contact categories. So once that is set up, the system will just start processing. Every day is going to recalculate. So based on the events that you put on your calendar, it's going to see for each of the contacts what is in store, what sends happened for this contact, what sends are being planned, and it will continuously make the evaluations of include this contact from this campaign, exclude this contact from that campaign. So it's pretty smooth.
Yeah. And of course, if you were setting that up, you would have one of our customer success managers guiding you through that entire process. So you wouldn't be alone in the setup, and our team would make sure you get the best results possible.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. If we don't have any more questions, I do think this is a great stopping point. Like I said before, if anybody on the call wants to see Engage a bit deeper, please do book a demo with us, and we will get you a more personalized demo, and we can drill down into any feature you would like to see further. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for your time, and we'll catch everyone on the next one.
Thank you, Kira. Again, if anyone has any questions, I'm available. Please reach out to me or using the QR codes here. Happy to help.
All right.
Have a
Bye,
great day,
everyone.
everyone. Bye-bye.